Today is Tuesday, November 7th, 2017. My name is Edna Sussman. I'm a reference librarian here at the Hollow Hills Community Library. We're interviewing Stephen H. Jackman, an Air Force veteran, as part of our Veterans Testimonial Project and in collaboration with the Library of Congress's Veterans History Project. Thank you so much, Stephen, for your service and for being willing to participate in our project today.
Well, thank you, Edna Sussman. It's my pleasure to be here to do this video for anyone interested in the military. And it's going to be a DVD here at the Hollow Hills Library that anyone can look at. Fine, that's great. Also in the Library of Congress. So I was very happy to have served in the United States military from 1976 to 1980, and then in active reserve until 1982.
Nice, thank you for that. Stephen, where and when were you born?
I was born in the Bronx, New York, on October 25th, 1957.
Oh, you just had a birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Who were your parents, and what were their occupations?
Oh, my father was Harold Leroy Jackman, and he was, how do you say it? He did law enforcement.
Oh, policeman?
Yeah, he was a policeman. He worked for the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance and different other activities that had to do with law enforcement.
Nice.
Yeah. My mother, Yvonne Elizabeth Jackman, or Davis is her maiden name, and she did different jobs. When I was young, she worked at Macy's and got me a Lionel train set,
Wow.
which I still have.
Wow, nice.
And yes, and then she retired from working for New York City Social Services Department, where she retired as a supervisor.
Mm-hmm. And did you have any siblings? What were their names and genders, and did they serve in the military?
Well, I have a sister named Pamela Jackman, and I have a brother named Harold Jackman, and he was in the Air Force. He retired as a major recently, and he is currently a pilot. And I have a sister named Abessina Cedria Jackman, and she was not in the military.
Okay, and your other sister was not in the military either?
No, Pam was not in the military.
Now, your brother, when did he serve, like career military? I mean, he served for a long time.
Yeah, he did. I don't have the exact dates, but he retired after 20 years, maybe 4 years ago, which would make it, 2005?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Nice. So what were you doing before you entered the service?
Well, that couldn't be 2005. Let's call
It
it.
was longer, probably.
Well, retired maybe 2000 and... I don't know when he retired.
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's
Okay.
fine. But he was in for a long time.
Yeah, 20 years, yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't in the same time you were in.
Oh, no. Sure. Much younger.
So what were you doing before you entered the service?
Before I entered the Air Force, I was at Adelaide East Stevenson High School and interested in art and science. And that's what I did, watching the Vietnam War as I was growing up, thinking how when I got to be 18, I was going to graduate and immediately be drafted into the Army, which I graduated January 1976. And the last person out of Vietnam was 75.
I see. But so then did you enlist or?
Yes, my plan was to get out of there. My plan was to get out of high school, graduate high school, and to join the Air Force, which my father was in the Air Force and my two uncles were in the Air Force.
Oh, wow. So that's why you picked the Air Force.
Sure.
And nice.
At that time, the slogan was a great way of life.
I didn't know that. So what happened when you departed for training camp? That was in 78?
1976.
76, sorry.
July 23rd.
Okay.
Right. So they said to be there at 6:30 in the morning. I had to be at the Fort Hamilton. I had to be at Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn, New York at 6:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And at that time, I'm excited, like, okay, when are we going to go? The plane didn't leave until 6:30. I'm wondering, what are we going to do? And all day until 6:30 when they says, okay, now we're going.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, we flew out. We got to Lackland Air Force Base about 10 o'clock at night. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, and we're going to get there and go to sleep. And in the morning, they're going to wake us up and let us know what the Air Force was going to be about. So after the flight, we had a long bus ride. It was dark. You couldn't see where you were going. Then all of a sudden, we all perked up and we saw the lights of the base. We pulled up to the base and we were all very relaxed. And then the technical instructor got on and says to the people in the front, oh, if you have buttons, button them all up. And he really activated us all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that kind of nerve-wracking or made you excited?
I was sitting in the back.
Oh.
And being from the Bronx, I was able to understand it different than many other people.
Really?
Because we see things in the Bronx, New York City, that a lot of people don't see around the country, being all around New York City at that time.
Interesting. Different perspective.
I had a
completely.
different perspective.
So, do you recall your instructors that basic was at Lackland? Basic training was Lackland?
Yes, basic training was Lackland. We had Sergeant Zaratny, and I can't remember the other names.
That's okay. What were they like?
They were official. They were fair,
Oh, okay.
very fair, and they knew what they were doing. I could see all of the training that they had. I could see the other drill instructor from the sister flight that we had. They came to inspect us one day,
Oh.
and I knew it was the sister flight drill instructor that would be inspecting us. So I had a brand new razor, brand new soap, just wet it a little bit. And he came by and he says, oh, there's a hair in the razor.
Oh, wow.
I knew there couldn't be a hair in the razor.
Because it was brand new. Oh, I
It's
see.
brand new.
So what did you say?
I said, excuse me, there's no hair in that razor from the Bronx. So he says, yes, there is. And he takes it and he puts it right in my face. And he says, see that hair? And I'm like, I don't see it. And he says, well, it must have fell out.
Oh, gee.
One demerit.
Really?
I got a demerit.
Oh, my God. But
Yeah.
you were right, though. It was just to show his...
Whatever happened, I was kind of funny.
Yeah, oh, I see.
You see more things worse than that being from the Bronx.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Wow.
So that's just what happened. I mean, he had to make, it's probably a game that the two of the drill instructors played. You didn't find a demerit. Your team got more demerits than me. How is that, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that they did do, I used to be very, very fast. Very fast runner.
Oh.
Very fast. So we had the big flight line, giant, Lackland Air Force Base, about a city block. And there was a guy that I met, and he ran the marathon for UCLA.
Wow.
So we talked about it. Yeah, I run sprints, you run marathon. So the technical instructors, they made a race. Whoever won that race was going to have base liberty.
What does that mean?
That means you're allowed to go around the base on your own,
Oh.
not be up in the dorm.
Oh.
Right? So I knew he was a marathon runner. I knew he was going to kill me running around the whole block, but I took off like a banshee.
Wow.
And then when he got halfway around to the catacordar side, he decided to turn around and run backwards.
Oh.
And I didn't like it so much, so I tried to catch him. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then he turned around and started running, and he beat me pretty bad.
Huh.
And I ran in, and maybe because of my performance, they gave both squadrons base liberty.
Oh, nice. The whole squadron? Or not just you?
It was all for the squadron.
Oh, I see.
It was my squadron against his squadron.
Oh, I see.
Like a sprint runner can beat a marathon runner.
Wow, cool.
I give it my best shot, though.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, did you receive any specialized training while you were in basic? How long was basic, first of all?
Basic training is 6 weeks.
Okay.
So specialized, no, that's not really what the Air Force is about, but they do instill a certain discipline. We did get to shoot a weapon.
Oh.
I got to shoot 45 bullets, 15 standing up, 15 prone, 15 kneeling down.
In basic?
Yes, in basic.
Okay.
It was a day of that. The first day was learning about the weapon. The second day was actual using the weapon. And then a few days after that, we did go to the obstacle course.
Oh.
But most of it was teaching you how to march and teaching you how to put your uniforms spaced apart. Everything has to be equal. Shoes have to be in order. Everything. Yeah. I don't know. It sort of came natural to me.
Oh, good.
Whatever they were teaching.
Yeah, how was it adjusting to barracks and the military life and food
It was easy
and all
for
that
me.
stuff?
Oh, the
Really?
food was good.
Really?
Food was very good. We had chocolate milk,
Oh, nice.
right? We had all the good stuff. It was good. The food was great.
What about social life during basic? You get time off?
Well, they gave us one day to go into Lackland, San Antonio.
Ah.
One day. And sometimes the more you stay, it was 6 weeks. After a while, they let you roam around the base by yourself a couple of times.
Huh. What happened after the 6 weeks training? Then where did you go?
Well, after the 6 weeks training, I had to go directly to Shepherd Air Force Base for my 7-month tech school, which was teletype maintenance.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you request that, or why did they pick you to do that?
Well, I had always been very good at electronics. So when I went to take the test, I pretty much got a lot of the answers right. If I would have gotten one more answer right, if I studied for this thing, I would have gotten the top job, which would have been at that time crypto. But this was the step right below it. And that's why I got that job. My recruiter saw that in me, and he recognized that for me. And it actually worked out well for me because I ended up retiring from Verizon, installing and maintaining the computer network at corporate headquarters.
Wow. You mean
Because-
once you were done with the military, when you got out?
Right.
Yeah.
Once I'm done with the military.
Did you request any specific, job in the Air Force?
Well, I wanted to work on telephones, and the recruiter told me, no, this is better.
Oh.
And I still insisted, but he got his way.
Oh, okay.
It
And
worked out.
Were you happy with that?
Well,
kind of-
I was very happy with it in a way. The other way is I'm very much with electronics, but I'm not mechanical. And teletype machines are electromechanical. So I did not enjoy working on the mechanic part.
I see.
But the electronic part, that was fun.
So it took 7 months of schooling to learn all that?
Yes, first we had to learn electricity, things like Ohm's law, and just potentiometers and N gates and NAND gates and NOR gates and transistors and
It's a lot.
rheostats and potentiometers and circuits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now where did you, after the 7 months training, then where did you go?
Well, I got to take a leave and got to go home and visit my family.
Nice. They were back in the Bronx?
Yes, they were in the Bronx at that time. I got to go back there. And after that, I took an airplane. It was 1977 March. Big, giant snowstorm we
You're
had
kidding?
here.
77?
In March 1977. It was a huge, huge snowstorm. So I took a plane to Oneida, New York, and then caught a cab to the base.
Which was where?
Griffiths Air Force Base, Rome, New York.
Right. And that's where you were assigned then, or?
Yes, I was assigned there for the rest of the time. But during that time, I got a temporary duty assignment twice to the Pentagon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
To do the same type of thing?
Well,
What did
we
you-
got to run wire for the crypto machine, conduit for the crypto machines, and some wire for the war room. in the Pentagon.
Where did you live then? How long were you in D.C. then?
We went twice, and each time was about 3 months each.
Really?
3, 4, 3.
And did you live on a base? Or?
No, we got to live in the military towers in Alexandria, Virginia.
Oh, near the Pentagon.
Yeah, we had
Part of the
cars.
Pentagon? Oh,
It was
nearby?
a couple of miles away,
Okay,
up the hill, military towers.
nice. Did you like doing that? Being
Loved it.
there? Must have been really interesting. Now, what are crypto machines? What's their ultimate purpose?
Well, we worked on the teletype machines, and when you would type it, and wherever it was going, it would print it out on the printer or the perforator, right, a teletype. And if you're going to send the message, you have to encrypt it before it goes out.
So nobody can read it until it arrives at its
Right.
destination?
Now, no
Oh, I
one can
see.
intercept it and say, oh, they're moving troops around.
Ah, I see.
So we did that. I did not get to actually go in there when they did the crypto work,
Oh,
but we put the facilities up to put the crypto equipment inside of it,
oh, I see.
on racks. At that
Okay.
time, they were the size of a refrigerator.
Wow.
Yeah, a small refrigerator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. After Griffiths Air Force Base and after D.C.
Oh, I did go to England for 28 days.
Oh,
Yeah, they were Fairfoot Air Force Base. It was an old World War II base.
huh.
And they were bringing it back up, I guess, for B-52s at that time. This is 1980.
It was a U.S. base. U.S. military.
Yeah, it was actually British base,
Oh,
but I guess a U.S. base and partially British because it was in England. And so I did get to go there. I volunteered because I had never been out of the country. But I wish that I didn't do it
why?
because it was so far in the hills, in the way, way back of everything.
Are you kidding?
It was just sheep and cows.
Oh, pretty though. But not near a city, not close.
It was not near anything. It
Wow.
was, well, it was near the town, Fairfoot, England,
Oh.
near Lincoln Heath area, Manchester. So we'd walk like a mile off the base and then another half a mile into town or something like that.
Wow.
And there would be one traffic light. We'd go into the bar and order a beer.
Yeah.
And I'd get a turkey pot pie. And then we walk back.
Wow.
And how much fun was that? Then one day we took the bullet train into London for the day and came back. So
Just
that was
for
interesting.
recreation, for off time.
Yeah, we were 28 days there. It was quite boring,
Really?
as some bases can be.
Yeah.
Because, they keep the military bases, the Air Force bases, far away from everything.
Why?
The airplanes are very noisy.
Oh, I see.
They're very loud, and they don't need to be near any cities,
I
right?
see,
They keep
yeah.
the planes away
Uh-huh.
so that they cannot be hurt.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So did any of your fellow military go with you from Griffiths there, or did they just picked you to go?
Oh, well, my job was to escort a teletype machine at the time.
It's a coffee, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, my job was to escort a teletype machine at the time.
Oh.
And to make sure it got there. And funny thing is, I looked in the box and there were a couple of springs on the floor from the machine.
Uh-oh.
So I kind of left it to the guys that were picking up the machine
To fix
to
it.
make sure they got it to work.
Okay.
It wasn't my job to make sure that it got to work.
Okay.
And there were a couple of machines. I don't know who took those springs off. But
Wow.
either
Maybe
way.
in transit?
Yeah, in transit, maybe, sure. But
So you went alone? I mean,
I think there was somebody else with me for sure. It
but
was
not the
me
whole, not your whole
No,
class?
no. But there were other people from the squadron,
Ah.
from the 485th Communications Squadron, CIG, that did go, but their job was different. They were there to run, say, the telephone poles and run the big cables across.
Oh, I see. Oh, very different.
Yeah.
What kind of, so after 28 days, you went back to Rome, New York?
Right, and shortly after that, I was discharged out of active duty.
Oh, So how many years were you in? Three?
I was in for 4 years, and after I got out, they asked me if I would stay. You stay in active reserve for
Okay.
an amount of time, and after that, they asked me if I would continue my inactive reserve because my job was a specialized job at that time, working on the teletype machines.
Mm-hmm. And did you stay in?
Sure.
Ah.
They paid me extra money, and I did
Nice.
it.
So were you actually living on a base then? Or
Oh, no, I was out. I was
like
home.
reserve? Kind of?
Yeah, inactive,
Inactive.
reserve.
When you were in active duty, how did you stay in touch with family and friends back home?
Hey, that's one thing for everyone out there watching. I could have gotten a lot more letters from my people.
Oh, sorry
Right?
to hear that.
But I was in Rome, New York, so every other weekend, maybe I used to ride my motorcycle
Ah.
down to New York, 5.5 hours.
Oh,
And I used to come down so much, my friends didn't believe I was in the Air Force.
wow. So like for a weekend or if you had some
Yeah.
time off?
Yeah, because my squadron was a tenant on the SAC base, Strategic Air Command, so we didn't get involved with the mission of Strategic Air Command. We were there strictly doing communications, not part of that mission of the base. So we did not work on the weekends.
Oh,
So I would
Nice.
take maybe Monday off or Tuesday if there was a holiday, and maybe take Friday off and
nice.
disappear.
Now, you said earlier you were also head of publicity or
Oh, after
was-
a while, Sergeant Zell was the head of the Public Relations
public
Department.
relations, yeah.
Yes, he was the head of the Public Relations Department, and he asked me to take over because I'm sort of maybe I'm a people person.
Right.
I like people. So he asked me if I would take over the Public Relations Department, so I thought that would be a good idea.
That was in Rome?
Yes, that
On
was in
base?
Rome, New York.
Okay.
And I said, okay, sure. I only had about 6-7 months to go before I got out. And I was a sergeant at that time, just got recently promoted to
Wow.
sergeant. And I said, sure. And I did it.
What did that involve? What did you have to do?
Oh, well, part of my job was we'd have plaques. People would get plaques. And Sergeant Zell showed me how to make the plaques out of the brass plates. I would engrave the plaques.
You're kidding? They
and
were
glue
handmade
them.
on the base?
Oh,
You did?
sure. We'd engrave them with the engraving machine, big, heavy machine. Engrave it and then paint it black and then sand the black off so the black is only in the letters. And then mount that on a nice piece of wood
Wow.
that we would lacquer.
What
Yeah.
were the plaques for?
Well, if you did something special, then Major may give you a plaque, Captain.
I see.
They may give you a plaque for something.
Nice. I had no idea they were made, they would have been made on location.
Yeah.
That's great.
And he did that I did it. I took over for him. And I would just get a notice, hey, we need a plaque. Can you do a plaque for us? Sure.
Nice.
And I would do it. And I would also, but the most fun I really had there, they were recruiters bringing busloads of children,
Oh.
to the base to see and the base commander's secretary, who used to work with Sergeant Zell, I took over for him, so she contacted me, and then I would take the kids on the bus to the recreation center,
Nice.
to the dining facility, and then to interview the pilots, or the
wow.
pilots would speak and tell what the mission was.
Was this all ages? Like how old were the
They were
kids?
young, maybe 12.
Very nice. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a nice program. They must have been in awe.
It was fun for me. Can't speak for them.
I'm sure they loved it.
Yeah, it had to be fun. We went to the dining facility, let them eat all the food they
Oh,
want.
they got to eat there too.
Oh yeah, they got to eat there.
Nice.
And in the Air Force, it's the dining facility. It's not the chow hall
Oh, how come? It's
because it's
the
the
Air Force.
dining facility.
okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Someone once told me that if you really want, well, I think that might have been the Navy, but the Air Force too, it's a much cleaner outfit than maybe Army or
I can't speak on the clean.
Okay.
I know the Navy, they clean all day on that
maybe
boat.
that's, yeah.
Right? But it was clean. I did get to work KP.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
Why? Was that
Well, everybody had
Everybody
to take
had
their
to?
turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you have to do for
Clean the kitchen.
that? Okay.
Yeah. All the squadrons had to take turns doing that.
And the food there was good too?
It was excellent to me. I mean,
Nice.
it wasn't like filet mignon,
Right.
but the food was good,
Yes.
tasty. We had apple pie, we had different
Nice.
pies, we had lots of good food.
Yeah, good. Now,
everything.
you were in a big barracks, or did you have your own? Once you became sergeant, did that change? or-
Well, no. I could have gotten a different NCO barracks, but I stayed where I was, where the party was.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Like how many military
many?
in one building?
3 floors. 3 floors. I can't tell you how many was in there. Maybe 100 or
Wow,
so.
really? Oh.
Something like that. Can't count them.
No, but I mean, it was a
Less.
big unit.
It wasn't
with a
that
lot-
big. Wasn't that big. It's maybe 60, 70.
Wow.
I never counted how many was actually in there.
How did everybody get along?
Well, everybody did what they did. You have your own room or you have a room with a roommate.
Oh, I see.
And so if you were into whatever it is that you did that. And I did that. I was happy because at the base that I was at, they had 2 clubs, one called the Wings, which was the Airmen's Club, and the other one was the NCO Club.
Oh.
And on Wednesdays and Fridays, they used to have a DJ come in, and you could go and dance there at the Airmen's Club. And Thursdays and Sundays, you could go and dance at the NCO Club.
Nice.
And there would be people that would bring in, somehow the girls were on the base
Oh,
from the town.
nice.
I don't know how they got on the base. I didn't ask.
Yeah, right. Oh,
So
that's fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Listening to music at the bar, drinking and dancing.
Very nice. Good.
Yeah.
So, when you returned home was 1980?
1980, July 22nd was my discharge.
So they gave you the option then of re-upping, or did you want to re-up?
They gave me the option to re-up,
Okay.
but I thought about it, talked about it, laughed about it, and forgot about it.
Oh, okay.
The one thing I didn't like about it, was that it's 10 to 1 women in the Air Force. And I happened to be at Griffiths Air Force Base, which was close to the city of Utica.
Right.
But a lot of these bases, like Minot, North Dakota, and the like, you're kind of far away from things. And I wanted to get back into the scene.
Oh, I see.
New York City.
Okay.
I did my 4.
Good. Okay. And then when you got home, how did you get home? They flew you home, or what about?
They gave me the money to get home. I could have flown, but I was in Rome, New York, and I lived in the Bronx at the time.
You had your motorcycle.
I did have the motorcycle, and I might have had a car at the time, too.
Okay.
I did have a car, so somehow I got the motorcycle home and the car.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And then once you got home, what did you do?
I got home and I applied for jobs. One of the first I applied for was the Postal Service. And also I applied for New York Telephone Company. And I was lucky that I got a job with New York Telephone Company in January 1981, and I got out of the Air Force July 22nd, 1980.
Yeah. Good.
So that worked out well.
What did they like your technical experience in the Air Force? Probably helped.
Oh yes, it did help greatly, sure.
So what did you do for the telephone company?
Well, my first 10 years, I worked on Wall Street in installation and repair of the telephone lines and then special service circuits. And after 10 years of that, I was promoted to systems technician and moved up to corporate headquarters, where we later started working on the computer networks, installing and maintaining them.
That was the beginning of the whole computer explosion, probably. Right?
Yeah, when I first got there, it was dumb terminals. It wasn't computers, just one main hub that could handle 16 terminals. And later we took on the mini computer department and we expanded that to putting computers around all of Manhattan.
Wow. when you returned home, stepping back a second, how were you received by family and friends? How was that?
Well, it wasn't like it was today. Today is thank you for your service. Oh, it was great that you were in there. But I'm coming pretty much off of, it was 1980, the Vietnam War. People weren't so happy about the soldiers at that time, even though and Ronald Reagan was just coming in and we were going to wars at that time. And so it was just a nonchalant thing, except there's a guy, and I had my motorcycle and I rode into Harlem, and I had just got out of the Air Force, and he was happy that I did, and he bought me a sandwich, which I was very appreciative of over lunchtime.
Yeah, very nice. How was it readjusting to civilian life?
It was...
Were you happy to be out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I was happy, but I was happy all the time. I'm a people person.
Right.
I was head of the public relations department, so I just made it happen.
Yeah.
You're back in New York City, 1980. I'm 22 years old.
Wow. Yeah. So all was good.
Great.
Have you remained in contact with any fellow veterans?
Actually, yes. I do. I have a friend who has the same birthday as me, Kevin Moore. Actually, Wayne Moore, but he likes to be called Kevin. I was the best man in his wedding.
Oh, nice.
And we have the same birthday,
Yeah.
I'm in contact with him.
That's nice.
But also, there was a woman who was in the Air Force, and her husband and I became friends.
Oh.
So
Were they married at the time when you were in?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, they came in married.
Okay.
And he was a guitar player, and I'm a bass player.
Nice.
So we all graduated. And the friend that I met also is a drummer.
Oh.
Yeah, he played in a group called Aura.
Okay.
Sure.
So you've continued with music since you got out?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Doing what?
Oh, my goodness, yeah, doing so much. I don't know if we have time to go into that, but what I do now is I play my djembe drum in Central Park for the tourists.
Nice.
And they love it. They come by, they put dollar bills in my little bag there. And one time, Taylor Swift came over and introduced herself to me, and the paparazzi was there, and they took a picture of her and I, and they put it on a 3-page spread in the New York Daily News. So if you look up Taylor Swift in Google and you look at pictures, Taylor Swift Central Park, you'll see her and I.
And you, yeah.
Yeah, and also I was there in Central Park playing my drum there. And the president of Indonesia was there, and he told his whole entourage to take up a collection for me.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's
yeah. So,
nice.
and then celebrities came by, like Kid Creole and the Coconut, which I'm a big fan of. And he came by and was singing with me.
Wow, nice. And you still do that?
Sure, sure, I do that. That's for fun.
Make music
on a
in the
beautiful
park.
Day, just sit in the park. I take my drum wherever I go.
Okay, cool.
And just sit there and play. I just came back from Barbados.
Nice. On vacation?
Yeah, on vacation.
Yeah. So are you retired from working?
Yes, I did 29 and a half years at New York Telephone Company, which changed to 9X, which changed to Bell Atlantic, then changed to Verizon.
Very nice. That's a long time. Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So are you a member of any veterans organizations?
I am not.
Okay. And how do you think, what are some life lessons you learned from your military service?
Oh, I think that everyone should be required to go to the military for at least basic training. And maybe a year or 2, 18 months, because you do learn so much. I was already self-disciplined, but it just helped to reinforce some of the discipline that I have on myself. There is a big difference between civilians and people that go in the military. For instance, I was in Central Park one day and it was raining. And one guy was complaining about the rain and the other guy was not complaining about the rain. I knew automatically the guy not complaining about the rain was in the military.
Wow.
The guy that was complaining about the rain was never in the military. He was soft.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So how do you think your military service impacted your feelings about war and the military in general?
Impacted my military service? Well, I got to see how organized things are. That's one thing that you learn. You learn that your job has to do with somebody else's job, that has to do with somebody else's job, and it's all tied together in a very brilliant way, that they tie everything and everybody's job together. And the way, now I'm not for war
Right.
at all, though the country is pretty much for war, but I'm not really for it. I'm more of a peace advocate. But my motivation for joining is because I didn't want to be drafted into the Army where I would have to do the killing.
Oh, I see.
You see, so I go into the Air Force where it's a bit different.
You mentioned earlier about flying in a plane when it was can you tell me about that again?
Oh, yes.
Refueling. Where was that and why were you there? And how did that work?
Okay, I was in charge of the public relations department, and I heard that there was a program called the incentive flight. And if you were a mechanic in the Air Force, they would make you, and you did something wrong, like left a hose off or something, they'd make you ride in that airplane that you were working on to give you the incentive to do a good job. So in the Air Force, you'd be surprised, but you do not get a chance to fly in military planes. You fly in civilian planes. You never see Air Force people in civilian clothes. I mean, in military clothes. You may see them in civilian clothes. So this was an opportunity to go in an in-flight refueling tanker, a KC-135, for me before I got out of the Air Force. And I told my friend, the guys at the shop that I was working in, I used to work in, the teletype maintenance, and they all wanted to go.
This was in Rome?
Yes, this was in Rome.
Okay.
Initially, the base commander secretary said, "You want to go?" And I said, "Yes." Then I had to come back to her with 5 other Social Security numbers. We all wanted to go and be in an in-flight refueling tanker.
How was that?
It was very chilly up there. It was cold. We were dressed. And I was so happy to go that somehow I fell asleep.
Are you kidding?
Because I was up all night thinking how this was going to be great as 22 years old. I'm going to ride in an Air Force in-flight refueling tanker. And somehow I made myself so tired that when it's time, at the end of the flight, I was so sleepy.
But were you awake for the refueling part?
Oh, yeah.
So how did they do that?
Oh, there's what they call a boom, which is a big giant hose that has some wings at the back of the plane. And the in-flight refueling boom operator is laying down on a gym mat, and he has a joystick that he's controlling that operates the boom. The boom with the wings on it extends from the back of the plane downward, and then a plane comes up close, and they attach it right into the top of the fuselage, or depending on the plane, the side of it, on the seat, you see them, and they shoot a tremendous amount of fuel in very, very, very quickly into the airplane.
So it takes seconds to do.
Yeah, seconds. A minute at the most, or so, something very quick.
That must have been really interesting.
It was.
Nice. Okay, so what message would you like to leave for future generations who might hear this interview?
Go Air Force.
Nice. Were you ever injured while you were in the service? I forgot to ask you that.
I did have some sort of injury on my neck.
Oh.
And I'm not sure where it came from.
Oh.
But
Were you hospitalized for that?
I was not hospitalized for that. But they found it serious enough at that time, to give me a partial disability.
Oh. You don't know what was it, pain? And was it in your neck?
No, it's just something that broke out in my neck.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know what
Okay.
happened exactly. It kind of healed up more now after 40, 50 years.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. And they did. I'm grateful because I went there to the dentist, and somehow we took a picture of my wisdom teeth and convinced me to take all 4 of my wisdom teeth out at the same time.
Oh, gosh. While you were serving?
Yes.
Wow.
Right. And I did it, but they put me to sleep, and I was out of it. So I'm grateful because one of my wisdom teeth was growing like sideways. This way, and he showed it to me, and he says, "Look, you don't have to do it now, but if you get out and you try to get it done and it starts bothering you, it can cost a lot of money."
Ah, okay.
So I said, "Okay, you can experiment on my teeth."
Good for you. I mean, it's not easy to get all 4 at once, but at least you were done.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah.
You did it. Good.
Yeah.
Is there anything we haven't discussed or you'd like to add?
Not that I can really think of exactly. You'd have to ask me about it, and I could tell you.
Is there anything you did in the military that you regretted or were very proud of?
Well, I kind of regretted going to London for the 28 days, but it was nice, not to London. I kind of regretted going to England because it was 28 days and very, very boring. But I did like the part about going into London for the day.
Yeah.
But everything else was great. It was a great way of life. That was the slogan then. And for me, it was a great way of life.
Well, we're glad you did. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your service, Stephen, and we really appreciate it.
It was great to be there.
Thank you.
It was big fun.
It was big fun. Good.
Well, do you
Thank
think about it? The war was over, say 1973, last person out 1975. So I got there just in time for the after-war party.
Oh, I see. They probably loved having you with them there.
Well, we all loved being there, I think. The
Well,
war was over.
The war was over, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for your service and for participating in our project. We really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so glad to do this and
Thank you.
enjoy. Go Air Force.
Thank you.